Welcome back to the Hidden Book Nook, the channel where we explore books that deserve more attention than they often get. I'm Danny, and today I'm reviewing Standing at the Sea, When God Leads You to the Place That Looks Like the End by Alexander Hall. I want to start by saying that I am not Christian, but have no problem reviewing Christian books. In my mind, God is synonymous with spirit or universal energy, as I am a spiritual person. This is a Christian nonfiction book built around the biblical story of the Red Sea crossing, but it's really aimed at readers who feel stuck, trapped, exhausted, or uncertain about where God is leading them. The central question the book asks is simple but powerful. Why would God lead someone to a place that looks impossible? If you've ever looked at your life and thought you were following the right path, but wondered why it felt like a dead end, this is the book for you. Hall opens with a direct pastoral introduction that acknowledges emotional exhaustion, disappointment, and confusion. He argues that the Red Sea moment in Scripture isn't just a historical miracle, but a pattern that repeats in people's lives, a place where there seems to be no obvious way forward. The book is organized into chapters that examine different aspects of that experience, including fear, waiting, unanswered prayer, relationships, finances, health struggles, perseverance, and what happens after breakthrough. One thing I appreciated immediately is that Hall doesn't frame suffering as evidence that someone has failed spiritually. Instead, he repeatedly emphasizes that difficult seasons can be places where faith is formed, rather than disproved. The tone throughout is encouraging, but it's more grounded than some motivational Christian books. The author spends a lot of time sitting with the emotional reality of fear, disappointment, and uncertainty before moving toward hope. What makes this book different? It's centered on a single biblical metaphor. Rather than jumping from topic to topic, Hall keeps returning to the Red Sea narrative as the framework for the entire book. It's emotionally candid. The book acknowledges questions many believers hesitate to ask out loud, such as, did I hear God wrong? Or why would God lead me here? It includes practical reflection. Each chapter ends with reflection, questions, prayers, and action steps designed to move the reader from inspiration into application. This is the section I always like to spend extra time on because writing style often determines whether a nonfiction book becomes transformative or merely informative. Alexander Hall writes in a conversational pastoral style. He sounds less like a lecturer and more like someone sitting across the table from the reader. The sentences are generally clear and accessible, avoiding heavy theological jargon. That makes the book easy to read even for people who don't regularly read Christian nonfiction. The writing also relies heavily on imagery and repetition. Hall repeatedly returns to the picture of standing between the sea in front of you and the army behind you. That repetition gives the book cohesion and reinforces its central message. Some readers will find that memorable and comforting. Others may feel the metaphor is revisited so frequently that it becomes a little repetitive. Another notable feature is the use of composite illustrations. Throughout the book, Hall introduces fictionalized examples, people dealing with finances, marriage struggles, ministry disappointments, health issues, and career uncertainty. He clearly identifies them as composite illustrations rather than real individuals. These stories help translate the biblical themes into contemporary situations and make the material feel more relatable. Stylistically, the book falls somewhere between devotional writing and pastoral counseling. It's not a scholarly theological work, and it doesn't attempt deep historical or academic analysis of the Exodus account. Instead, it focuses on spiritual encouragement, emotional validation, and practical faith application. Strengths of the writing is accessible language. It's easy to follow without sacrificing seriousness. Strong emotional resonance. The author clearly understands the psychology of waiting, fear, and disappointment. Consistent thematic focus. The Red Sea metaphor provides a strong structural anchor. And practical application. Reflection, questions, and action steps give readers something concrete to do. As with any good story, sometimes there are potential drawbacks. The drawbacks here are repetition. Because the book continually circles back to the same core image, some readers may feel the message is restated more than developed. Less theological depth. Readers looking for historical, scholarly, or an analysis of Exodus may find the book more devotional than analytical. And finally, encouragement-focused perspective. The book is intentionally hopeful and pastoral. Readers wanting a broader discussion of suffering and theology may want additional resources alongside it. Strengths of the book. The biggest strength is that the book speaks directly to people in difficult seasons without minimizing the difficulty. Hall repeatedly acknowledges fear, confusion, unanswered prayer, financial stress, relationship pain, and spiritual exhaustion. He doesn't pretend those things disappear quickly. That honesty makes the encouragement feel more credible. I also appreciate the emphasis on active faith rather than passive writing. Several chapters explore the difference between faithful waiting and anxious striving. The book argues that trusting God doesn't mean doing nothing. It means responding with intentional, grounded actions instead of panic-driven decisions. Another strength is the book's practical structure. The reflection, questions, prayer, and action steps at the end of chapters make it easy to use for personal study, small groups, or devotional reading. No book is perfect, and I think it's worth noting a few limitations. First, if you prefer a dense theological analysis, this probably won't be your favorite style. Hall's goal is encouragement and spiritual formation, not academic scholarship. The biblical material is sincere and substantial, but it's presented pastorally rather than academically. Second, readers who already consume a lot of Christian encouragement literature may find some themes familiar. Trusting God, waiting faithfully, not returning to old patterns, and believing that difficult seasons have purpose. The book's distinctiveness comes more from its sustained Red Sea framework than from entirely new theological ideas. Third, the repeated metaphor can be either a strength or a weakness depending on your preferences. Personally, I found it effective overall, but there were moments where I wish the book varied its imagery more. I would recommend this book most strongly to Christians going through a season of uncertainty, readers dealing with unanswered prayer, career confusion, financial stress, relationship struggles, or spiritual fatigue, people who prefer accessible, practical, emotionally honest faith writing, or small groups or church studies looking for discussion material. I would recommend it less strongly to readers who want rigorous biblical scholarship, historical analysis, or theological debate. This is a pastoral encouragement book first and foremost. Overall, I think Standing at the Sea succeeds at what it sets out to do. It's a compassionate, practical, and emotionally grounded exploration of what faith can look like when life feels stuck between the sea in front of you and the army behind you. The book's greatest strength is its ability to make readers feel seen. Hall writes with a strong awareness of disappointment, fear, and exhaustion, and he consistently frames those experiences as places where God can still be present and active. Whether or not every reader agrees with all of the book's conclusions, many will likely find comfort in its honesty and hope. For Hidden Book Nook reviews specifically, this is exactly the kind of book I enjoy highlighting. Not a massive bestseller, but a thoughtfully crafted work that may resonate deeply with the right reader at the right time. Now, I'd love to know what you think. If you've read Standing at the Sea, let me know in the comments what stood out to you most. And if you enjoy discovering books that live beyond the mainstream shelves, don't forget to subscribe to the Hidden Book Nook for more reviews. Please like, comment, and subscribe so that you never miss a review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.